The board approved downward review of the enhanced vehicle and motor number plate with effect from 1st August 2012 as follows. Standard plate for revalidation at 10,000 naira, new registration at 12,500 naira.
Those words, cheering news they are, formed part of the communique presented to the press at the end of the 126th meeting of the Joint Task Board held on Monday, the 16th of July, 2012. That, we are sure, is news you've been waiting for since the Senate of the Federal Republic threw back the decision on the appropriate pricing of the proposed vehicle number plates and the National Driver's License to the Joint Task Board. The Joint Task Board being the appropriate authority to take such decision. To get the full gist of what transpired and the appropriate pricing, the timing for the driver's license and the vehicle number plates, stay tuned to Tax Matters for the next 25 minutes. Other offerings on today's episode include the place and role of non-governmental organizations, NGOs for short, and pioneer companies in the Nigerian tax space. There is also something on the administration of withholding tax. My name is Olumuyiwa Matuluko, and the program is Tax Matters. Welcome once again. You will recall that sometime in the year 2011, the Federal Road Safety Commission announced its intentions to replace the current driver's license and vehicle number plates with security-enhanced ones. Of course, that came with cost implications, not just the cost of replacement, but an upward review. And expectedly, that caused public uproar, necessitating the Senate and the Federal House of Representatives to wade into the matter. Public hearings were held at the end of March 2012, but in an anticlimax, at the end of it all, the Senate decided that the Joint Task Board should be the one to fix the appropriate price for the vehicle number plates and the National Driver's License. And so, on Monday, the 16th of July 2012, the Joint Task Board held its 126th meeting in Abuja on several matters, among which were the number plates and the driver's license. Alhaji Kabiru Mashi, acting executive chairman of the Federal Revenue Service, and by virtue of that position, acting chairman of the Joint Task Board, was on hand to chair the meeting. And as you will presently see and hear, Alhaji Mashi is not a stranger to the Joint Task Board.
Alhaji Kabiru is not new to Joint Task Board, as he was at a time executive chairman, Katsina State Board of Internal Revenue, between 1991 to 1997.
Alhaji Kabiru Mashi solicited for the support of members of the Joint Task Board in the collective effort of all stakeholders to actualize the tax reform agenda, while acknowledging the giant strides undertaken by his predecessor, Mr. Omogui Okauru. One major topic for discussion at the meeting was the issue of the new pricing regime for the new vehicle number plates and the National Driver's License.
I therefore call on members to exhaustively discuss today with a view to finalizing this issue, considering its importance as a source of revenue to the states.
3 major papers were delivered at the meeting on internally generated revenue, tax codes for the states, as well as the role of state boards of internal revenue in the implementation of tax treaties. After paper presentations, members of the Joint Task Board settled down to deliberate on several issues, including the Personal Income Tax Amendment Act 2011, the Taxpayer Identification Number Scheme National Registration Rollout, and the Federal Safety Commission initiatives. At the end of it all, a communique was issued.
The Joint Task Board held its 126th meeting on the 16th July 2012 at Transcorp held in Abuja. The board debated on various issues and reached the following major decisions. 1. Authority should adopt strategies that will increase their internally generated revenue. 2. That state government should compile their revenue laws in order to minimize the menace of multiple taxation. The board looked at the IGR of the state is the total income of that state less FAC and VAT, and resolved that the State Board of Internal Revenue should monitor all revenue from MDS for proper accountability and planning. 4. The board approved downward review of the enhanced vehicle and motor number plate with effect from 1st August 2012 as follows. Standard plate for revalidation at 10,000 naira, new registration at 12,500 naira, motorcycle plate revalidation at 2,000 naira, and new registration 2,500 naira. 5. Prices of other categories of number plate and driver's license remain the same, and deadline for revalidation of the number plate is 31st July 2013. 6. That all driver's license shall no longer be valid by 1st October 2013. 7. That the biometrics Central Motor Registry BCMR or Electronic Central Motor Registry ECMR is not a requirement for registration of motor vehicles. 8. That the taxpayer identification number TIN project is ongoing and registration has commenced in the pilot state. Thank you very much.
There you are. For emphasis, if your vehicle is currently carrying the old vehicle number plates, you have up to 31st July 2013 to revalidate. As for national driver's license, that one in your purse expires 1st of October 2013, no matter the expiry date that it currently carries. In the same evening of that day, 16 July 2012, the immediate past executive chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service and chairman Joint Tax Board was formally sent off, along with other former chairmen of State Boards of Internal Revenue who have also moved on to other things. It was a grand occasion.
As tonight, Gala night, we are especially using it to mark and honor a great achiever, our immediate past chairman and the immediate past chairman, executive chairman, Federal Inland Revenue Service, Madam Ifeoko Omogui Okaru. There's no gainsaying that Madam has repositioned the Nigerian tax system, and we have, in the course of this repositioning, witnessed changes in terms of structure, in terms of operation of not only the Federal Inland Revenue Service, but the state revenue boards.
It is my pleasure and joy to welcome you all to tonight's event, which has been organized to honor and celebrate a person who thoroughly deserves it, having distinguished herself in her capacity as the immediate past chairman of the Joint Tax Board and the immediate past executive chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service. The person I'm speaking about is no other person than Mrs. Ifeoko Omogui Okaru, who was a boss, a friend, a sister, advisor, a leader, a fighter to me and all of us. She's a mentor. Her achievements are manifest and have provided the foundation for further development and growth in the Nigerian tax system. As we may all recall, Mrs. Okaru championed the reforms of the Nigerian tax system from 2004 to 2012, during which she achieved milestones which are unprecedented in the history of the Nigerian tax system.
The acting chairman made a promise.
To our own dear Ifeoko, as we celebrate you, I believe the best way to honor you is by striving to sustain and improve upon your legacies.
An overwhelmed Mrs. Omogui Okaru had this to say.
I speak here on behalf of both myself as well as all the other former chairmen of the State Boards of Internal Revenue to say a big thank you for this honor. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to be a part of this group, to be a part of change, to be a part of helping this country, our country, to develop, and to be a part of what I would say excellent company.
Chineke me, they don't increase my salary money. No be mistake. Oga accountant do so. Papa Junior, you never hear of Peter? Now the new MD be that. Talk now.
Peter, na Personal Income Tax Amendment Act wey Mr. President just signed for law to better the life of the people, so them to go get more money to enjoy with them family. You see this amended act, I don't reduce the tax we do on top your salary money. They can't increase consolidated allowance money wey we go dey get every month. And you know say na the president wey dey listen fit do better thing for the people.
Ah, Mr. President, you do well, oh. I'm blessing you. They think of me when you dey sign this bitter. Now I feel do boku things this year. I feel rent shop for Mama Junior, buy textbook for Junior, send money go village, make the thing begin build my house.
So you say me landlord?
Of course. Oh, you didn't say I can't country for you. Peter, oh, Peter, hey, Peter.
JTB, creating a tax-friendly environment.
Welcome back. The program is still Tax Matters. If you want to see this episode again, or you want to see any previous episode of Tax Matters, please visit our YouTube channel on your mobile device or on your PC. And if you have contributions or questions, like our Facebook page or follow us on Twitter. Of course, you can always send us email or text messages or call us on phone. Are you running a non-governmental organization, NGO, and you are wondering, do you have any business to do with the taxman? Are you a student or scholar of taxation and you are wondering what a pioneer company is and what role and place do such pioneer companies have within the Nigerian tax space? To provide answers to these questions and more, the Land Tax Office of the FRS in Abuja collaborated with the newly created Medium Tax Office, which is in charge of NGOs and pioneer companies, to hold an interactive forum for stakeholders. It was held on Wednesday, the 11th of July 2012. It was well attended by taxpayers and their representatives and was graced in person by the acting executive chairman, Alhaji Kabiru Mashi.
Some people operate under the illusion that NGOs are not taxable. This is to the extent of their involvement in non-profit making ventures, which does not preclude them from filing returns for their operations. Neither does it preclude the employees of these organizations from paying taxes on their incomes.
Mr. Dick Iri is the tax controller of the Abuja Medium Tax Office, which is in charge of NGOs.
Pioneer companies are just normal companies, but for reason of the fact that they've ventured into certain aspects of industry or specific product, they've been granted tax holiday for a set time. While non-governmental organizations are organizations set up by individuals or group of people who have come together, either registered as trustees or limited by guarantee or even by the law of the state or local government. But the key thing here is that for NGOs, the objective is not for profit making, but rather is humanitarian. Now, the law that regulates pioneer companies is the Industrial Development Income Tax Relief Act. And the president has the prerogative to approve which company should enjoy this pioneer status. However, this function has been delegated to Nigerian Investment Promotion Council. It's Nigerian Investment Promotion Council that gives this approval, that gives the approval of the pioneer status, and he will state categorically the products for which pioneer status has been granted, the years, and the effective date. However, the actual effective date is determined by the certificate of production date given by Federal Ministry of Industry, which by now I think fall under the purview of the Federal Ministry of Trade and Investment, though the Act is still saying Federal Ministry of Industry. Holiday period varies. You can have it for 3 years. The tax law recognizes a maximum of 5 years. However, in practice, we have seen NIPC giving a holiday period or granting holiday period up to 7 years. Now, I'll take it this way. For an existing company who gets a pioneer status, we have what is called pre-pioneer operation. The pre-pioneer operation, before the pioneer take off, the operation ceases, the company ceases business, like closing business. So by tax law, that company is required to prepare the cessation account. While we have the pioneer period, which run for the period that they have obtained tax holiday, the FRS is interested in the operation during this period. Especially if they are making losses, the FRS will be interested. They want to know if these losses are genuine losses that can be carried forward to the new business after pioneer period. If they are not making losses and they are making profits, we are also interested in their qualifying capital expenditure. We want to certify them and confirm that these are the actual assets that the pioneer business had acquired during this period that could serve as opening balances for the new business after the pioneer period. Irrespective of the fact that a company has obtained a pioneer status and is on holiday, the Principal Act requires that it files its annual returns. And this enshrined in Section 55 of a SITA. From the return, what we do for purpose of taxes is to confirm the qualifying capital expenditure. We also want to certify the profit and loss dictates, and especially if they are making losses, as I said, we want to confirm that they are genuine losses and artificial transactions are backed out. Now, what are specific tax issue here? A pioneer company profit is one that is exempted from is one that is on holiday for the period of the pioneer. So, by implication, the company will not pay company income tax as long as it trades on the approved product for the pioneer period. If it ventures into any other business that is outside the approved pioneer product, such operation will be subjected to income tax. Now, VAT is a consumption tax. Whether you are a pioneer company or not, as long as you consume vatable goods, you pay the VAT that is due on those goods. A pioneer company can pay capital gain tax if it disposes its assets and there is a profit. You'll be required to pay capital gain tax. Pioneer company can also pay stamp duties. If it decides to increase its share capital, it will pay the corresponding duties. Staff of pioneer companies are expected to pay their taxes like any other person. So pioneer status does not cover the income of the staff of the pioneer company. Now, I'll go to NGO. Just as I said earlier, these are specific institutions set up for purpose of humanitarian reason, but not principally for tax for profit. But just as it has been said in some of the discussion we had this morning, we have some NGOs who are veered into business beyond what their object states. For such, we will require that they pay taxes on those businesses that are outside their approved status. As an NGO, you are still required to file returns, your annual returns, with the tax office, which now is the Medium Tax Office, Abuja. And monthly, you are also required to file your VAT returns, whether it's nil or there's something to still report on. You still owe us a duty to be our collecting agent in respect of withholding tax. If you have dealings with companies, you have given contracts and you are paying them, we expect you to withhold the tax as source and remit for us and play the role of a collecting agent for us as NGO. So these returns are also expected from you.
Mrs. C.N. Chuta is the tax controller of the Light Tax Office of the FRS in Abuja, which is in charge of ministries, departments, and agencies. Mrs. Chuta asked some pertinent questions on the administration of withholding tax in Nigeria.
Is it only the government that deducts withholding taxes? That is the question we have to ask ourselves. And we have said that the large taxpayers are the most compliant. So we are now looking at the medium taxpayers. Is it only government that withholds? No, it shouldn't be. But what we see in Nigeria is the bulk of the withholding taxes are paid by the government agencies, the NGOs. What happens to the other people? What happens to the other companies? Does it mean they don't have situation that arises in the payment of withholding taxes? This is the question we have to ask ourselves. When people come to my office, they complain about credit notes. They want to pay their taxes. They want to use the credit notes to offset the taxes. You wonder, is it only income from the government? What happens when there is transaction between companies or individuals? Don't they withhold taxes? This is something we have to think about, because nobody thinks of credit notes arising from elsewhere, except when it's government. We have to think, we have to ask ourselves, are we really applying the tax laws here in Nigeria? Or is it only government contracts that forms income for companies in Nigeria?
Other papers were presented on wide-ranging subjects, while the ensuing question and answer session provided the much-needed soothing balm for those in attendance.
We offer humanitarian services. People who have no hope, we give them hope. In a situation like that, now we will be taxed, we will be called upon to come and pay tax. We are ready to accept, but we should ask ourselves a question that one day we are going to sleep and not wake up.
Let me talk about NGOs. You're wrong if you are saying that someone is asking you to pay tax. If an NGO does not engage in a taxable activity, it doesn't have to pay tax. But we expect transparency from you. Give us returns. Let's know what you're taking funds from different people. Let's use those funds judiciously. And those people who are contributing to you come back to Inland Revenue and say, I made contribution to social places. And there is a schedule in the law that says institution to which donation will be made. And they will treat those as deductible in the accounts of the company. So you think we don't have the right to know what to do with the money? That's all we're asking for. But if you engage in a trading activity, then such that can produce profit, you pay tax on that profit. Finally, the does not come and pay tax. That's the impression you are bringing here, but that's not what is operating out there. If you make profit because you engage in trading activity, we will hold you accountable, pay tax on it.
You want more of that? If so, then you have to watch out for the next episode of Tax Matters. In the meantime, I want to warn that the impending Olympic Games taking place in the United Kingdom will result in preemption of regular programming on most TV and radio stations in the next couple of weeks. Whatever happens, please make sure that we see at the other end of the games. Enjoy the Olympic Games, and we wish Team Nigeria the best of luck just as we wish our viewers out there the best of luck. We want to thank you most sincerely for watching.